live on all our visuals.
What's up, y'all? We about to get started here. We on Little Jam page?
We're
on Facebook?
Yeah.
All right, cool. Mm-hmm. I'm just be making show. Before I open up mine, we be double streaming.
No need. All you have to worry about is Instagram. That's it.
We about to get the Rillos started here shortly. Are we? www. jamradio.com. See, that's how you gotta do it. Cause Lovey trying to set me up today. I just started drinking. I don't know why she's starting so early, but it's going down here. It's Rillos. It's Fridays. My co-host will not be here. She has some testing and stuff with her job that she has to take care of. So we're gonna make sure she handles all that, and then she'll be back here full time. We're working on a very special guest for next week, so I just want to give y'all that heads up. A very funny guy. Matter of fact, one of the reasons I'm doing comedy might be here next week, and this guy's hilarious. He's been touring with I can't tell you who he's been touring with. I'll let him tell y'all all that next week, but he's back in the city right now, so we're gonna holler at him next week. Hopefully our schedules can link up and we can make that happen. It's Real Rillos. I apologize for not being here last weekend. I'm comedian Rillos, and I have my co-host in the building today, Miss Lovey. Say what up.
What up, y'all? I'm just
special guest co-host today.
Yeah, I'm just a special guest co-host / engineer.
That's my bad, because I didn't tell her that Britt wasn't gonna be here. Brittany actually messaged me already and told me. I just didn't relay the message. I've been at work all day fighting this coronavirus and all this stuff. You know, just trying to make sure I stay essential and keep a job out here in these streets. I apologize for missing last week. Happy Mother's Day. Happy belated Mother's Day to all those mothers who celebrated.
Ain't no such thing as no damn belated Mother's
Happy belated
Day.
Mother's Day.
Nigga never. Never.
Happy early Memorial Day.
Okay.
Since I ain't gonna be here on Monday. I can be early, I just can't be late.
I don't think there's such thing as happy belated Mother's Day, nigga. If you miss it, you gotta wait till next year.
Your mama might not be here next year. You better tell her happy belated Mother's Day and still get her gift. I still haven't gave my mama her gift.
That's a sad shame.
Only because I haven't seen her. But you know, they doing their social distancing thing, but I'm gonna pull up on my mama here one of these days.
Yeah.
Last week we had a topic that I have to make sure I get on. We're gonna talk about the little Boosie situation, and we're gonna piggyback on the situation from yesterday that we were talking about, because a little more information came out about it, and I just want to get Ms. Lovey's, thoughts on it, since she already know what I'm gonna say. Let's figure out what Ms. Lovey's gonna say today. All right, so last week it was pretty big. You heard about the Boosie situation?
I did hear. I didn't get all the details because I try not to get caught up in the fugazi. But tell me, go ahead and let the people know.
I don't really watch a lot of this stuff live. A lot of this stuff I always catch it like later. So I'm probably like a month later, a year later on what actually happened. Or if this I think this is something that's resurfacing that happened a while back. But
it's something he said a while back.
Yeah, he said it a while back, but it was on video, and I guess that's what everybody was sharing. So basically, what he was saying is, "Hey."
No, hold on. I'm sorry. It wasn't on video. I think people were sharing the video of him saying it. The video of him saying that, or you saying you saw the video of a girl giving her?
No.
That's what I'm saying. He said it.
First off, it ain't no way in hell I'm gonna watch a grown woman give some kids some head. Like I don't. It better not be no video out there.
I didn't. That's what I'm saying. So this is something he said. Probably.
This is something he said. He probably was just doing it for. I doubt he was just doing it for the likes. He said you can go ask any one of his nephews. But he said when they was 12 and 13 years old, he basically allowed a female to give them head, fellatio. And
who says fellatio? That's ugly. Where did you even get that, Rillos?
I'm learning.
Who taught you that? I'm KK. Is that you teaching him fellatio?
Nope. You just better be proud of me for using big words today.
Fellatio. That's like an old white porno word.
Yes, it is. And that's where this situation belongs. It's some old white porno because it's bullshit too. First off, so what he's saying is basically like, hey, I'm raising men over here. I'm raising these boys right. When they turn 12, 13, 14, I got a grown woman to give them head, so they'll know what it feels like, or they know what good head is. How do you feel about that, Lovey?
Good head, or just know what head is?
It might just be head, period.
Okay, I look at it, I can understand his viewpoint, being an entertainer in the world that he's in, and seeing the way that the gay agenda, I want to say, is being pushed at young people. Cartoons, how they're exposed to it, how they have commercials including same-sex families with kids and kids that's transgender, and they're trying to really push that agenda. So, in his mind, I feel like him saying that is like, I'm making sure that my sons like women. I want my sons to like women, so they gonna know what this is at a young age, just on the strength of that. Now, if you tell me that you would have rather him had 16-year-old give his 12-year-old son head rather than a grown woman. I'm just trying to understand.
First off, I wouldn't allow either one of them, because either one is child pornography. Like guys might be.
It's porno. It's child pornography if someone's recording it. Otherwise, you could say it's molestation
it's child molestation.
There you go. It's not pornography.
It don't matter. Somebody was watching. It was multiple nephews there. It wasn't just one person in the room and they did that and you don't know what happened, but you kind of know what happened. You can figure it out on your own. It was more people in there. So she in here going to town on all these kids, essentially, because to me, they're kids.
Yeah, mind you, this is the narration that you put together in your head.
No,
because that's not the story that was told. It
don't matter how it went down. It should not be a grown woman giving a 12, 13, or 14. If she's 18, it don't even matter. She shouldn't be doing that. If it's some young kids and they out here being wild and shit, because we had the kids in high school who was having sex and doing that. Like, that's understandable. Those kids being kids and being fast, that's how we say it. Like, hey, she fast.
Nah, it's a double standard when it comes to guys and women as far as being sexual.
I'm not creating a double standard.
I'm not saying you're creating it. It's there already, nigga. It's what it is.
But I'm not in agreement with either one of them. Like, I don't feel like the 12-year-old should be doing it. I don't feel like the 15-year-old should be doing it. I feel like that's something that you do when you turn 18.
It ain't you to say whose age a person
17, 18.
It's not, because kids at 17 and 18 are not the ones that's being overly sexualized with same-sex stuff. They're not the ones seeing it. It's the 12 and 13-year-olds that they're targeting that are seeing it.
So, okay, if you...
And I'm not saying it's okay. I'm just telling you his perspective.
I look at it like this. You got these little boys. You say, I'm raising them right. He consistently say, I'm raising them right. When you saying I'm raising them right, are you you gotta be setting an example of what a man is. I feel like if you show them what a man is long enough, you'll end up raising them right. They'll see you do the right things. Like, you have to be in front of them more than the TV is in front of them.
I hate when you forget that. Boosie is from Louisiana, right? He from literally the hood. All he talk about is from the bottom of where he from, and you think that he's gonna be. You have to consider that, his perspective. You have to consider that. Everything you're saying don't make sense.
I understand his perspective, but when that was his upbringing, that's how they basically communicate with each other. And that's like, hey, we're going to get this through you now so the world won't bring it to you later. And you have to make a decision, or you make the wrong decision later. I'm going to teach you now. I understand him saying that. But my thing is, if the shoe was on the other foot, would you want a grown man eating your daughters out? So they can be raised to
that
be
don't make sense because women can eat each other out. So that don't have nothing to do with the direction of their sexuality. He was doing that.
He had a grown.
Okay, I know that, Boris.
It's a grown woman.
He did that. Why? Why do you think he did that? What was his reasoning to you?
In his mind, he's basically saying, "Hey, this world is teaching these boys that they can be with men or they can be with women. I'm going to teach them the right way that men should be with women. It should not be. They shouldn't have to be approached by another man and have to make a decision. They already know that men are meant to be with women. Women are meant to be with men. Like, I understand that perspective, but I always think it's a better way to teach them.
I know there might be a better way, but the only difference is that, let me finish, the only difference is that he is who he is, so everything he does is like broadcasted on social media. There's a lot of niggas who have this same mentality because they don't want their sons to grow up as homosexuals. They want them to experience a woman so that they know, like, this is the way, and they feel like they have to do it young because of the gay agenda. Now, I'm not saying, it's right or wrong. I'm just saying you gotta, at least be able to be like, you know what, I can understand, because he sees it more than anyone on the level that he's at. So
I just think there's a better way. And also, I feel like, if it was vice versa, if it was a woman and it was, a lot of females experiment with it in high school with the basketball team and stuff like that. So it happens in high school for girls too. It's just more accepted with women than it is with men. I don't think it should be either way. I just feel like, hey, man, woman, woman, man, and that's how it should be.
Well, before this was not an issue. Before the men didn't have to be persuaded to be attracted to women. That just goes to show you where we are now and what him as a father feels, because back in the day, this was not an issue.
Okay, so the benefit of him doing this, allowing this, is basically, hey, I don't have to worry about my nephews liking men because they have a woman that, you know, they know how it feels coming from a woman. Past that.
No, I mean, it's like building an attraction towards women.
Yeah, okay, that's fine if you want to do that. So the positive side is, hey, I'm building this attraction towards women. Are there any consequences when this happens? Are you allowing the boys to grow up too fast? Are they gonna be?
I think that it's not necessarily growing up too fast, more than the world that's around them is fast. You know what I'm saying? So, it's either you gonna get swallowed up because you don't know and you're ignorant and you think you have to be aware. And unfortunately, it's younger now that it's happening.
So it comes down to teaching in the home, if you ask me. I think it boils down to if I'm raising a kid, I'm raising my daughter, I'm raising my son. A lot of times, all they see for the most part is me and what they see on television. When I'm gone, they're going to have to make that decision for themselves. But while I'm there, it's my job to teach them to be independent, to teach them to have their own mind, to teach them the right decision to make. Like, if that's the way, if he feels like, hey, you might get caught up in the world and what's going on as far as, you know, sexualization or the feminization of men, then...
Black men,
period.
Mostly black men.
I work out in Kingwood now. It's men, period, out there, because there's not very many black men out there.
I'm just saying
But in his
the black men are the most affected by it. They got the highest rate of AIDS. Like, come on, bro.
And I think a big part of that is because fathers aren't in homes. The kids ain't changing what they doing, they just changing who they listening to. And if you allow somebody else to tell them something long enough and they start listening to that, then it'll be too late. But they're listening to you, they're watching you, they're seeing everything you do. You don't have to go out and get a grown woman to do this. Kids are gonna find a way to do it anyway. So if boys gonna find a way to do it with girls gonna find a way to do it with boys. You don't have to get a grown woman and place her in the middle of the equation. That's what my problem is. Like, I know kids are having sex in high school. I knew kids who was doing it in elementary, and I couldn't even figure that out. Like, it just wasn't for me. Like, it wasn't something that was in my view.
Exactly. That's my point.
Of course, we all wanted to do it. We all was looking forward to it, but it wasn't something that I was just hungry for or hungry to experience. I knew when my time came, I would get it.
Right, but everybody don't think like you, and not everybody was raised in that environment like you.
That's the problem. Everybody needs to think like me.
No, bro. No, they don't.
Because I have balance. I feel like I'm a pretty balanced person. When I look at situations, everybody be like, you negative or you positive. Like, if the situation is, I look at the situation balanced. Like, whatever comes from it, if it's going to be positive, it's going to be consequences to it too.
Well, when it comes to positive and negative, it ends up being a matter of perspective, right? Because you can look at the same thing and have
your perspective has to be the same on the positive end and the negative end.
No, it does not.
That creates the balance. It's got to be balanced. You don't have to agree with something, but I can see it from your side and you can see it from mine, and that creates balance. We're not gonna sit here and argue all day.
I'm just saying one is not necessarily positive and one is not necessarily negative. Like,
give me a situation where one ain't positive, one ain't negative. It's not possible.
I said it's a matter of perspective. One thing might be positive to you, it might be negative to me. So, there's no balance in that. It's just the way I see it as a woman, perhaps. Like, we have differences, me and you. Like, you're a man and I'm a woman.
That's understandable, but
right?
Just like if I can point out a negative and you can point out a positive, that's going to create the balances, because I'm going to respect your point of view. I might not agree with your point of view, but I respect it.
But something, like, for example, something you point out and you're like, okay, Levy, this is negative. To you, it might be negative. To me, I might look at the same thing and be like, it's not negative to me. That's what I'm saying. But I'm telling you,
even when you say it's not, if I tell you it's negative and you say it's not negative, I'm going to respect what you're saying, and I'll say, hey, why you think it's not negative? And you might tell me why, and I'm going to tell you why I think it's negative, and we'll agree to disagree. We both have two separate perspectives, but I'm going to respect your perspective because we were raised differently.
Right.
I'm not gonna dismiss it. Like, I understand like why he's doing it this way, but I don't feel like it's right, because when these kids grow, it's better ways to teach boys how to be men. I feel like you have ample opportunity. You teach boys how to be men through your music. They listening to that more than they getting head from a grown woman. You use your music to be that influence, because we already don't have fathers in the home. Who's there to teach them how to be a man if fathers ain't in the home? All he telling is, hey, my nephews is gonna get some woman. They gonna know to like women. What about the rest of the nephews out there?
Well, he can't. I mean,
why not? His word gets out more through his music. So
my point is that that's his family, what he's deciding to do with his family. But because of who he is, it's being made a big deal for people to judge.
If it was one of my brothers, I would say the same thing. It's not, and a lot of times, like
I'm saying, it's happening just because the niggas is
even with the judge and stuff. Like, we're allowed to judge each other.
Oh, okay.
If we believe in the same God, we can judge each other. If we believe in the same universe, we can judge each other, because we're on the same level, believing in the same thing. A lot of people, only God can judge me. Well, if you're a Christian, the Bible gonna tell you that Christians can judge you too.
The Bible says a lot of things.
But it does say a lot of things. But you can't be up here. You can't be up here talking about only God can judge me, and you're a Christian, because it's right there. You're supposed to be judged by your fellow Christians.
Well, again, this comes down to the perspective, because a person might read the same verse as you and get two different perspectives from it. You can't.
No, the verse, it's there. It's plain.
It's a lot of stuff that's there that's like flip flops that we take out. Believe. Come on, bro.
I understand that a lot of times you might read something and get something from it, and I can get something from it. But if it says you are to judge your fellow brother, I'm pretty sure we both gonna get the same meaning from that.
In the same book, right? It says, doesn't it say the same? Only God can judge you.
Where does it say that at? You're reading Tupac book. I'm reading. Okay. Okay.
So there's nothing in the Bible that insinuates that.
I haven't found it yet.
Okay. So it doesn't say nothing in there about not being judgmental. It says to be judgmental.
It says, judge ye, lest ye be judged.
And that's what you got from that.
That's it. That's basically saying, if you're going to judge, expect to be judged.
That's what you got from that.
That's what it's saying. What do you mean? Those are plain words. It said, hey, you can judge, but be mindful, you're going to be judged later.
By
someone else, by God.
Okay, so
we're ultimately all going to be judged by God.
Okay, so if your main focus is where your afterlife spirit goes, then only God can judge you, meaning that's the only judge that matters.
But it also, like, what people don't understand is, like, we're talking about the Bible here, for those who don't know. It gives specific instructions to specific people here and there. Like, it's certain, like, you can look at Old Testament, New Testament, different things apply to different situations. There was things they were doing in the old that they wasn't doing in the new, and it's stuff that carried over. Like, I feel like, me personally, I feel like the whole book is a book about, God's love. It's a book about the beginning and the end. I feel like it's about Jesus Christ as well. He was there in the beginning. A lot of people say he wasn't there in the beginning. He wasn't there in the end. He left. Like, the whole book is about him. Like, they gonna give you all the little details you need, but I feel like the whole book is about him. In there, if you're following, if we all have the same goal, and I don't know what, I feel like the goal is to be, if you're a Christian, the goal is to be like Christ. I ain't saying you gotta be perfect. I ain't saying don't drink. I ain't saying don't smoke. I ain't saying don't do none of that. Enjoy your life. Do whatever you want to do, but try to strive to be better, be like Christ. And we, like I said, we're not gonna be perfect. We gonna.
So you think Boosie was not trying to be Christ-like when he was letting his child?
I feel like if you're gonna do stuff like that and you're gonna set the standard, and that's gonna be the standard that you want to set.
How's he setting a standard? No, he's living how he decided to live. There's people that do this.
I'm not specifically saying he's setting a standard. Well, the reason I'm going there is because I don't feel like what he's doing is in some form setting a standard for his family. Like, hey, this is how we gonna rock over here.
And you don't think a standard was set for him?
I don't think. No, that's not what I'm saying. I don't think we, as a society or as a community, a black community, I don't think we have a standard of what a man should be. I could literally have somebody walk in here right now and say, "Tell me what you think a real man is." And then I can ask somebody else right behind that, and they probably gonna say something else. Like, somebody's answer is gonna be more geared towards God. Some person might be geared more towards family and taking care of their kid. Somebody's perspective is gonna be about, hey, just making sure I put money and food on the table, make sure the kids got a roof over their head. Everybody's gonna have their different perspective of it. But I feel like we as a community should at least have a standard of, at least it should be at least one good one, or one 50. We should at least be able to agree on 50% of what a man should be, right? Is that asking too much, like, as a society?
I mean, kind of, because everything that your opinions are strong on, which is respectable.
That's not an opinion. I'm asking you, like, should we be able to all agree on what a man is?
No, I don't agree with that, because not everybody values the same shit in people.
So okay,
so look, you can't say
that's understandable. So if I write 50 things on a board of, take your ideas of a man, my ideas of a man, two other people's ideas of a man, we write them all on a board and we go down each list. Do you think at least 25 of those things we'll be able to agree on?
I think that me, you, and another person that we know, maybe. A person that's on the other side of the globe, perhaps not. An Asian person, maybe not. Some Mexicans, definitely not. Okay, everybody has a different perspective.
And I understand that. So what I'm saying is, with their perspective, you don't think any of our views will line up with each other on what a man should be?
I'm saying, I'm sure there might be one.
Okay, so
having general science stuff,
we can at least start with that. One,
science. You know, like the scientific visual observations versus, like I said, like a person's background.
Okay, look. So, if a man has his private part removed, is he a woman loving?
Are we on real with Rillos?
yeah, that's a real question.
No,
because we should all be able to agree that if you're born with it, you're a man, right?
Because there's some lesbians out here swear up and down they embody the energy of a man,
and that's fine. Like, I'm cool with whatever people decide to do themselves. I'm cool. I understand that. You do you. It's no discrimination against you. I'm just asking overall, like, is there something that we can agree on? Where do we agree at? Because if that's the case, I can point at my dog and say, this dog is a man. He deserves all the rights that a man has, because there is no standard of a man. What you gonna say? Oh, well, you got to be human to be a man. Can we all agree that a man has to be human? Until that one person come and they argue it down and put it in court, and people don't realize that they testifying on it, and then all of a sudden, well, it says right here a dog can be a man. Well, when was this declared? In 2020? What was happening the coronavirus? So y'all passing shit all through the courts, and we don't even realize what's being passed.
You're all over the place, kid.
Yes, I am all over the place, because I feel like if we're gonna start, there needs to be a standard for everybody. Like, we should all be able to agree on something. Like, if we just gonna say a man is a human, women are human too. So it has to be something a little more, a couple steps further than that. So if you're born with a penis, are you a man? And then you come back talking about you a woman. I have people I went to high school with that people was calling them gay in high school. Everybody knew they was gay. They denied it all that time, and now we grown and they gay. But we just keeping it real. I've been Rillos my whole life, and I'm about to take a break right now. www.jamradio.com. You're Rillos. If that's the case, I can point at my dog and say, this dog is a man. He deserves all the rights that a man has, because there is no standard of a man. What you gonna say? Oh, well, you got to be human to be a man. Can we all agree that a man has to be human? Until that one person come and they argue it down and put it in court, and people don't realize that they testifying on it, and then all of a sudden, well, it says right here a dog can be a man. Well, when was this declared? In 2020? What was happening the coronavirus? So y'all passing shit all through the courts, and we don't even realize what's being passed.
You're all over the place, kid.
Yes, I am all over the place, because I feel like if we gonna start, there needs to be a standard for everybody. Like we should all be able to agree on something.